And here's the hard truth. Americans are fat and getting fatter. A shocking new report from the Centers for Disease Control shows America's obesity rates show no signs of slowing down. The CDC reports that 40% of American adults are obese. That's 2 out of 5 people. That's up from 33% a few years ago. And severe, life-threatening obesity also on the rise, impacting 8% of Americans, up from 5% less than a decade ago. The rise in obesity rates was most stark in women and adults over the age of 40. Joining me now is Ofir Teshuva. Ofir is a cognitive behavioral psychotherapist here in Israel. Thanks for being with us, Ofir. This is an eye-opening report. It is evidence that the current public health efforts to try and slow down the obesity epidemic is not working. Is this because of food and what's in it? Is it because of perhaps genes, or is it behavior? And is it a lifestyle that must change?
Well, first, the research gave us a picture that we all knew before. We are getting bigger and bigger, and the reasons are there's a lot of combinations of reasons that's working together. It's not only one thing. It's education problem. It's a problem that not healthy food that we are consuming, and so on. And there's a lot of combination of things that makes us fatter.
But what is it that, I guess, especially now that not only are the rates not slowing down, the percentage of Americans who are obese, how that affects their health, perhaps in a life-threatening way, it's getting worse. It's getting worse every year. Why is that, perhaps, and the impact psychologically? People can change their lifestyles. They're resistant to. It's easier to grab fast foods, unhealthy foods, fatty foods. How do you fix that?
Well, I believe that we are telling people how to behave, what to do. We are telling them to do diets. We are not making them think differently. That's the main problem that we are working on in the way of psychology is looking at.
So what do you think about? I mean, what's the big thing if you want to try and improve your weight? I mean, how do you change your thinking? What's the number one thing you have to do?
Well, you have to stop for a moment to think about it and then to react. This is the whole idea in one word, in one sentence, but the idea is very problematic when you are walking automatically. I think if you are taking a few sessions in the psychologist's room, you will find out it is not too hard, but you can learn it by cognitive behavioral therapy that's doing so.
All right, and last question for you real quick, Ofir. We're seeing big obesity rates in America. What's the situation like here in Israel? Is it as bad?
Well, I think in Israel it's a little bit less. We are the education here around food and consuming sugar is telling us that we are getting less fatter. I think the last research I read. But the problem is still going on.
All right.
I don't think it's like
Ofir will have to leave it there. Ofir Teshuva, the cognitive behavioral psychotherapist right here in Israel. Thanks for that analysis.